Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for joining us today. Today, Brooke and I here.
Hello.
Hey, Brooke. And obviously, we're talking from different locations today, but all is well. And one of the things that Brooke and I were just talking right prior to coming on here today, and there are some amazing synchronicities that are happening to us during the week. And the information that is coming is just crazy. So to give you guys a heads up, because I do want to point this out, if you don't mind, Brooke, real quick, about how divinely guided this podcast is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, did I interrupt you?
No, go ahead, because I was like, I wonder if he's going to say everything that I was going to say.
That's too funny. So I wouldn't doubt it, because we are seriously getting so much information together. But last week, after the last podcast, I reached out to Brooke, and and to be honest with you guys, I tell you all the time that we say that this is divinely guided and that they inspire our topics. Well, I had a couple of topics that have been put on the back burner for quite some time, because every time the podcast comes up, there's just more information comes in, and you have to go with it. You can't resist it, right? So I reached out to Brooke. I'm like, hey, these topics I had for a little bit, I was wondering if you would be interested in talking about them. Auras and the aura layers, and I forget the other one, but it's irrelevant.
Brain frequencies.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Two really cool topics. So, yeah. and Brooke, obviously she was totally cool with both topics, and we were going to talk about them. But as the week progressed, we were both getting information, and on Sunday, reached out to her saying, I can't let go of this information about what we're going to discuss today. And no kidding, she's sitting there going, Chris, I won't speak for you.
Yeah, so I was like, thank goodness.
Oh, we lost her. Hold on. Let's get her back. Hold on. We'll get her back here in a second. Start it up right now. We are recording.
Okay.
So we got Brooke back, and I'm sorry, Brooke, go ahead with what you were saying there. I apologize.
Okay. So from the time he threw out like the ideas to me, I was like, okay, those are cool ideas. I was like, actually, for a little while, I was kind of hooked on the brain frequency thing, and I can probably go back to when I was getting information about that. But then something inside of me was like, no, that's not what we're doing. We're not doing these fun little tricks anymore. Like, there's a message. And I didn't say anything to Chris because I thought that actually wouldn't be fun. Because I knew, like, something in me knew that it was going to come out. So I didn't say anything to him. So when he called me this morning and he was like, how are you really feeling about those other ideas? And I was like, well, and he said, well, let me tell you. He's like, I'm thinking that we're being guided the other way. I was like, oh my gosh, thank goodness. And he's like, well, what do you mean? Like, why didn't you just tell me? And I was like, well, it's kind of more fun to watch it like play out, and I said, to be honest, if we were getting ready to start, and I said, I knew it wouldn't happen. And you said, are we still doing these? I'd have been like, seriously, you didn't get the message yet? But when we're talking about, it's funny because I was in the pool. That's where I do some of my thinking. And I was like, people are going to start to think this is like Chris and I's gimmick in the beginning. And I was like, so maybe we shouldn't. And I was like, no, this is all part of the lesson. What happens between Chris and I is what happens between a lot of people and a lot of things. And this is how the universe works. So when we're talking about us, we're really just talking about the experience that we're having. It's not just about us, it's about the experience and sharing that. So absolutely, every time we are going to share these experiences to help you guys when you're in these situations to recognize that these things happen.
Yep. Yep. Now, okay, this is an excellent segue, if you don't mind us bringing this topic up a little bit higher on the board, the
Okay.
communication one, because
Okay.
it's just an awesome segue.
Yeah.
And how to determine that you are getting information. Because Brooke and I both received downloads and multiple points of communication this week, specifically about how to determine or different ways in which you know that you're getting communication. Because sometimes when you are getting communication, you don't necessarily, we talk about awareness all the time, and you just don't know that that's communication, and your mind makes you second guess, like, is that really communication? And they always say you always trust and believe, because that puts you in the alignment, in
Yeah.
that alignment. And it is better to believe than it is to disbelieve, because then you just start questioning and questioning. You're just digging a deeper hole, and you're never going to know what it is that you're getting or not. So if I can share real quick, Brooke, what I got, and then I definitely am very interested to hear more about what you got.
Okay.
But some of the things that I've received were a big aspect in determining the difference between the ego mind and communication when you are getting it. First is the consistency of the message. And they always say pay attention to feeling. So the intuitive mind is what is one of our primary and first to open gifts while we're here. So when we get a feeling or a sense that, take for instance the topics of today's podcast, it is good to sit there and spend some time with it. For me, what I was getting. Now, Brooke
Yeah.
might talk to you a little bit, I don't know, more about something else, but to sit with that feeling and to notice what it continuously tells you. And that's where that mindfulness and awareness comes. When you get these feelings, you simply notice them, and then it gives you time to sit with them and then make decisions based off that. Second is when you can trace your thoughts back to something that, like a conversational piece. I'll give you, for instance, I was communicating with these two women before, and we were discussing a picture, and in the picture it looked like a representation of Jesus in the picture, and it was a really cool image. Now, and they kept saying Jesus and Mother Mary. They kept repeating those names. Now, at that moment, I started to get communication from Jesus and Mother Mary. But because we were literally using those names, I did not go with that immediately. What I did was I stepped back in my mind from thinking about those names, and then I paid attention to other clairs that I have, those gifts, clairsentient, claircognition, clairvoyance, clairaudience, all of them. I started to pay attention to the other ways in which information started to come into me, to see if it was only in my mind or to see if there were other ways. And sure enough, the energy that I started to sense around my body was intensified greatly. And then immediately, as soon as I noticed the energy, my throat started to seize. So there were like three different ways in which they were communicating with me at that moment. And that allowed me to understand, okay, we are certainly getting something, and it's not only in my mind, because I was feeling it so many other ways. But it all starts with the awareness, and then taking a second to sit there and sit with that. Go ahead, Brooke. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No. I'm a lot newer to this whole thing, and so it's funny because you'll see me going through something like, haha, I remember that. Um, but also the same thing. Like, I finally dropped. I in the beginning of my journey, when I realized that there's more than just this going to work life and coming home and making dinner for kids and going to bed, and some we get from that stage of life to realizing that there's actually so much more. When I got to that point and started having more feelings about what my purpose could be or what I could be or my role here, I became a little bit obsessed with finding out exactly. I wanted to know, either which tribe I was from or which, just where I was from. And, you were the one telling me, like, relax, like, just trust, just go. And it was the one night that I did let go that something came to me. But I was like, was that just because I saw that word somewhere, or is that just because I heard that term somewhere? So the very first time I got it, as much as I wanted to fully trust and fully believe, I still questioned it. But then going forward, it became a consistent, whether it was something that popped up on my phone or something that ended up coming to you that validated it, like my grandmother coming through, that hunch I had but wasn't going with, almost months ago now in meditation, pretty much my grandmother blew into you.
Oh,
And
yes.
was
Yeah.
like,
Wow.
yeah, like literally with force. That wasn't even our point of being together that day. It was, we were discussing the podcast, and what she said finally, even with hints in between, did confirm what my original meditation was. But I did question it, like you were saying, that when somebody is already using the terms, Jesus and Mother Mary, and then you think they're coming in, like I do the same thing. It's like somebody told me that such and such was one of my guides. And so every time I would go, that was the first name that popped up. So I'm like, is that only because somebody told me that's who it is? Or is, so I would always have to question it and see if it was somebody else, because I didn't want it just to be in my head because somebody else said that was what it was.
Totally.
Does that make?
Oh, sorry.
No, I was like, does that make sense? I feel like I just went real scattered there.
No, it absolutely does. So just to give the audience a quick understanding of that situation you were talking about with us, the other day when we were talking about these topics that we wanted to discuss, and then I called her up and was like, yo, are you still feeling those topics? Because I keep getting other information. Her grandmother came in and actually gave her a message that was tied to an experience that she had the night before. That was pretty amazing. But how you begin to notice those feelings, I'm sorry, not how you begin to notice them, but you begin to notice those feelings and how they begin to develop within you first. So is it a feeling first and then you start to form words in your mind or visions in your mind? Like, one of the things you have to develop is an understanding of how they come to you first. Is it through a clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentient? Now, I will tell you, intuition is the first that opens up for so many in this, in this realm. So the intuitive mind is something to really pay attention to. But from that, it is an understanding of, okay, what else should I begin to notice? So for me, as a channeler, I start noticing words in my mind that just start coming in. For clairvoyance, someone that has their clairvoyance developed or is developing it, they typically start to see images. Likewise for clairaudience or clairsentience, they can feel it. And then once you feel it or you see it or you hear it, you pay attention to those other clairs to see what other ways in which it's coming in. Now, I will tell you, the other day on Sunday when Brooke and I had that conversation, I didn't, I'm sorry, not Brooke and I's conversation. There was another conversation that I had actually with my wife where we were sitting on the porch on Sunday as well. So what happened was we were sitting on the porch and I kept hearing my wife's grandmother come in, and I kept pushing her away because my wife, she, is still trying to understand all of this. So I didn't want to overwhelm her with anything. And I kept pushing her grandmother away. And at first when she came in, I kept hearing the word grandmother in my mind. And I'm like, I don't understand why you keep coming in. But her message was so important, she started to affect me in other areas. So I could feel her next, and then my throat started to seize up. So again, with you personally, that's just me, but you as individuals might be getting experience. And then later on that day, Brooke's grandmother came in and did almost the exact same thing to me because their messages are important. So from there, what you can begin to understand is the consistency. How often am I hearing it? Was my mind clear at the time I heard it? Was it being generated or conjured from a word that was said? Now, even if it is conjured from something that was spoken or you saw, that could still be communication, even though it was conjured by that picture or word. You just have to take a second and step back from it and see if it continues to replay in your mind, like the words are spoken, or if you start to feel it. It is just how you go. So like if I can't trace what I'm hearing in my mind back to a thought or a word that was just spoken, I almost instantaneously know that is communication. If I'm talking to Brooke and we're talking about school, and all of a sudden I start hearing guide here, guide, I know, okay, hold on, I'm getting something, because I can't trace that thought to anywhere. It's just this randomness that came in. I know immediately it's something I need to go with. So I apologize, because Brooke and I were talking about this right prior to it, and we had this at the end of our topic list, but you
Yeah.
provided such a great segue for me. I'm like, we can't deny this. We have to kind of go with it. I hope you.
Because we had our scheduled podcast, and I was thinking just this week that I think some people, because I know I was one of them, that always never fully understood communication and connecting with our guides, which I think that we are all capable of doing, and that we're all in some way meant to do, at least at a certain level. And because they're here guiding us. And so that's why I said last night, I woke up middle of the night and my brain just said open to energy. And I was like, that's it. You just have to be open, which is Chris's channel, which is Chris's business. It's open to energy. But I was like, but that clears it right there. You just have to be open. You just have to realize that if you're usually somebody who sleeps from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. and all of a sudden for a week, you can't go to sleep until 1, I guarantee you that is something, So like I said, this is all new to me, but I came to find out that these leg cramps I was getting was them intentionally keeping me up. I'm not a writer. I guess, well, come to find out I am a writer. Writing is not my thing. So if somebody's like, write this down, or even if they want me to read something, I'm just like, no. Well, they finally had me write some stuff. And there was an end. I was like, is this going to be like an everyday thing? Am I staying up till 1 o'clock every night? Or my legs going to cramp every night? And actually, I didn't even think about my legs until when that message that went on for about 5 days, 6 days was over. All of a sudden, back to knocked out at 10 o'clock at night, no leg cramps, sleeping like a baby. So anything in your life that is even the slightest disruption, think a little deeper into it. Just look into it a little bit. Try writing, just think a little deeper into it. If something really feels like it's being shaken up and it's not your usual day to day.
Yep. Well, and you bring up a great point with the nighttime too, and the communication that comes to you there. That we are getting so much communication at night. Now, I encourage people that take courses with me to start journaling. And then from the journaling, I encourage at night, one of the things that I tell people is to be aware of messages that come at night and either record them in the journal or record them on your phone. Use the voice recorder on your phone to start noting it. And again, there is consistency in their messages. It is not an attempt to try to get communication. And Brooke kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier, where she said, actually not even alluded, she basically said, you just be open to it. That's exactly right. And that's the mindset to have. A lot of people that come or question about communication are trying. So when I'm channeling for someone, I don't try to channel. I just simply allow myself to be open to it. That's it. Nothing more. And I don't try for certain answers. I don't try to answer certain questions. Just simply allow to come in as it will. And there is a receptivity openness. I'm sorry, there is an openness or to that receptivity that we have that allows for the information to flow more fluidly. The more that you sit there and think about it, and the more that you try, like, oh my God, I used to, when I first started, I used to walk through a
I was
mall.
a try hard for a long time.
Totally.
Like, I was like, oh, focus.
Yes.
Okay, focus. Okay, come to me. Like, yeah, I was a try hard for a long time.
I used to
Go
do the
ahead,
same
I'm sorry.
thing. No, you're good. I used to do the same thing. And I literally would be white knuckled on my chair, pulling, grabbing it so hard because I wanted communication to come to me.
Yeah.
And it took me a little while to understand that I was completely defeating the purpose of my meditation because I was trying so hard.
Yeah.
So when I finally realized, hey, you just let go and just allow it to come in, it will come because it is already coming to you. It is just understanding how it's coming to you.
Yeah.
Now, but anyway, yeah, so just be open to it. No, another quick heads up is questions. We all have questions that we want answered. Who was I in another lifetime? Who am I a starseed now? Was I what's my next step? These are all questions that we get continuously. The point here, though, is to be mindful of the question, accept the question, and know that it will be answered in time. But when you go out there and you're like, okay, what's my next purpose? Let me read this book to find my next purpose. Again, that's like white knuckle in your meditation. You're defeating the purpose.
Yeah.
You want to be in the moment and simply allow the information to flow to you as you go, not as a direct result of you asking and mandating that it be answered at that very moment. It's going to come to you. And when you find these instances of relaxation and being receptive at those moments, know it's going to reveal yourself. Pay attention to the feelings that you have and the consistency of them. And that's going to help you tremendously.
Yeah, it's like I used to always tell people, like, go with the flow. But that's I think we've said that term has been around so long it almost lost meaning. So they kind of just changed it for me a little bit, and they started with the ride the tide.
Mm-hmm.
And so same meaning, right? Ride the tide. But yes, everything started flowing once I got rid of all expectations. Once I just started just be, is what they kept telling me. Once I got rid of everything and just started like, all right, I'm just gonna go about my day very mindfully, and then bam, everything came.
So again, Brooke, you are providing us with an awesome segue, if we can, to our topics for today, if that's cool. All right, so clearly they had their agenda above that, and they had a line up that we wanted to go with, and man, Brooke is truly providing us with those transitional phrases. So I appreciate that immensely. Thank you. So, and what Brooke just said there is very important in that you just go with the flow, you be yourself. But when we say that, we mean be of the light, right? I mean, that is an aspect of all of this, no?
Yeah. Yes.
True. Okay. Beautiful. I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page. That's all.
And, when we say true, don't, whether you're listening to somebody who is a world-renowned speaker or it's the cashier at a gas station, don't ever take what they say for your truth and for your always, like I said, I don't care if it's somebody that has 5 million views that is saying it, or if it's a lady across the street. Always use your discernment. Like, I would never say but to believe every word that comes out of my mouth. Matter of fact, I wanted to correct myself on the ego thing. 2 podcasts ago, man, I was giving the ego a really bad rap. I'm telling people, get rid of it. No, actually, retract all that. Send it love.
Wow. Yeah.
It's for 2 podcasts really giving it a bad rap, saying, get it out of there, get it out of there. No, send it love. So see, you can't just take that somebody else said something and think that because so and so said it and they must be wise that I believe this. Always question everything, no matter what your source is. Matter of fact, you might hear more mind-blowing truth from the lady attendant at the gas station than you might hear from somebody with 5 million views on YouTube. You know?
That completely. And there are a couple of things that just happened there, Brooke. You were talking and literally it cut out for a second. You said this sentence where you send it love, the ego mind, which is in my world 100% correct. You send
Yeah.
it love. But what happened was you cut out and then it rewound and said that exact same statement again. So I don't
Oh,
know
that
if you,
is weird.
yeah, that was really weird. Now, I will tell you, I had an experience with, I was walking into a Wawa just before I quit my job in this past January. I was walking into a Wawa and there was a homeless guy standing out front. And I, no kidding, he was standing there and we made eye contact. And I'm like, well, what's going on, brother? How are you? And he's like, man, I'm really good, actually. He goes, to be honest with you, it's so funny to watch these people walk into this store and they look so tense and stressed and they're getting ready to go to work and they're not, you could just tell they're not doing well. And he's like, man, I am loving life. And this was a homeless guy. And I'm going, what? Love your perspective. And the guy provided, I mean, what he is saying there was so profound. And which is why I knew right then, I'm like, man, I was getting ready to quit my job. And I'm like, you just solidified me on the right track, you know, going in the right direction, because that's exactly what I'm looking at. And I'm trying to get rid of those feelings of frustration, anger, sadness, you know, and I'm sending them love, but doing it through the sense of getting out of that world as much as I can.
Yeah.
I am feeling a lot of energy right now, guys. Bro. Ugh. This is so crazy.
Sorry. I was so bad when I do this to you.
All right, so this is an example of, man, they are coming in strong, and this is Enoch. Guys, this is going to be a crazy podcast. This is a little all over the place, and we apologize for it, but
This is not what we had planned.
no, it really isn't. Do you mind? I'm going to let him go.
Okay.
Are you okay? Thank you. My children, Enoch speaking. Clearly, divinely guided, we are communicating with you at this very moment. Imperative it is for us to speak through this podcast, through Christopher and Brooke at this moment. It is important to understand the topics that are being discussed and the importance at which they have for you all, for our communication is eternal. I'm sorry, he's saying something that is very interesting and confirming. Yes, Christopher, you may let this go. I am an aspect of Metatron that has been communicated to Christopher this week, and we are, yes, at this time, validating such information as truth, aspects of truth they hold, but we are here to communicate with you all as a humanity, as a society, as a collective. The love that you carry for yourselves is extremely important to begin to open up and to understand that this love, once it is developed within yourself, is to be shed upon all those that reside with you, walk with you. For you are all truly one, and it is important for you to understand that there is no separation between you and the gentleman, gentlewoman that stands next to you. It is a collective, my children. Please understand this. We urge you all to understand the importance it is to act in love and to be of love with all of humanity, even those that differ from you in belief system. It is important as you walk along with each other to understand that although your paths all lead to the same area, are different in how you get there, but that love combines, shares the true resemblance that all paths have. It is love that is the same. It is love and eternal path of destination, ascension, awakening that you are all attempting to go to, that brings you all together, that keeps you all as a collective and an understanding that it is through the one, the collective, that you will ascertain where you are meant to go. It is not just you. I'm sorry, guys. I keep questioning him in my mind. My ego mind keeps coming up, and I apologize. I got to stop that. But as I hear him talk, I'm like, what? What are you saying? What we are saying is that the path, although is one, is all needed. Your path, although is part of the collective, part of the one, is needed for all. Therefore, you cannot go to the destination without the one collective, which we are attempting to ascend you all as a collective. There is a deeper level of understanding that we communicate to you now, my children, and we hope that this is understanding. We will provide clarification as we proceed here at this very moment. You are one, yes. And then divided amongst the one is many aspects of the one, which you are all and do reside in. So guys, I can see right now, it's like a, not a flow chart. It's like a list of people, and it's broken out into sections, categories. So like, what is it, like a management tree at a corporation? You know, you have the president of the corporation, and then from there you have vice presidents. Okay, so I can see that flow chart of people. That's what he's showing me right now. Yes, it is a matter of truth, and each block is divided out into lessons to be learned in this lifetime, my children. But you are part of a collective, a part of a group, and this group ascends together, and this is what we refer to, that you ascend with the collective. You ascend and affect change through the individual choices that you make, being of love, but your choices affect those in your collective and in the higher collective, my children. It is these teachings, these understandings that you agree upon prior to your incarnation to affect change through the healing aspects of yourself. These healing aspects affect all those in your collective group and those outside of it. You do not ascend without each other. You affect ascension and awakening as a direct result of your healing, and you do not move without your collective. Please understand what we refer to you at this very moment. To be honest with you guys, I'm a little lost at what he's saying, and I'm trying to get a little bit more.
I got it.
Oh, okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, we are encouraging Christopher to let us go at this moment, to speak freely and without his questioning or ego mind interfering with our communication. For the free fluidity of this communication is essential to communication in this podcast. Important it is. Your paths are important to you, yes, but affect so many out there. Please proceed on your path and be the loving light without the judgments, without the need to rely solely on or holding on to the lower vibrational feelings, sensations that you may have at specific times in reference to specific situations or occurrences that have occurred on this planetary realm. This is important to understand, for these situations are part of your healing process and not to be held on to in a negative light. When you proceed and see these instances of injustices, if you will, we encourage you to proceed in love, not judgment. For it is part of your process, your healing process, to understand that these occurrences are happening for a reason. And we are saying that there are no accidents. These are part of a divine blueprint that these souls have agreed upon to experience in the lifetime that is currently proceeding, that you feel or see these occurrences happening. It is not an object of your healing process to hold on to these aspects of injustices, if you will, as truth or low vibration. What we encourage you to understand, that it is through your commitment to love and being of love and understanding that these situations are occurring as a direct result of an agreement between souls is important for, as you begin to look at the reflection of occurrences that are happening on this realm, on this planetary realm, you will begin to understand that on a soul's level, there is growth happening throughout every soul. The soul is attempting to learn how to incorporate more of the divine communication that comes to it, through it, to the human body differently. And just because you are at a particular level of understanding that you may think does not necessarily make you at a higher point location. It simply means that you are open and receptive to the communication. But these individuals that may not be are no lower, if you will. They are simply learning another lesson at this time. And we encourage great understanding in these occurrences. It is a matter of understanding on the soul level, learning its particular lesson at this particular time. You have been chosen and have chosen, agreed upon, to be at this point in your process at this very moment. And kudos to you. But also kudos to those that are attempting to align themselves more. And we hope that you will pray and shine light upon them as they are attempting to learn those lessons. For it is important for the lessons to be learned for the soul. However, should the lesson not be, it is not an aspect of negativity. It is an aspect of understanding and learning that that process taken from this soul at this time did not work if this was a setback. But to understand that another lifetime will be provided for the soul to learn that lesson once again. And we encourage greater understanding in these truths, for they are not aspects of low vibration. They are aspects of love and truth. And we encourage love and truth for all humans to have for each other, humanity, as you proceed along. And we are eagerly awaiting your presence with us, all of you, to release the judgment, to release the frustration with another, and to be more receptive to the idea that each soul is learning differently and truthfully learning. Open up to the light and to the energy, if you will, as Brooke has stated, and Christopher's mantra is, open up to that energy of truth, of love, love divinely and always for all, not just those that are one with your notion, with your mindset. This is unnecessary. Be who you are and hold true to love and truth to those that are not of you or your mindset. They are also learning, my children. Go in peace and love and understand these truths. Thank you.
Got it. That was my messages all week. When do you watch back and watch my expressions? Because I was like, shut up, shut up. That was every. So I was telling Chris this morning, I was like, dude, I hope you have something, because for like the first time in my entire life, I feel just blanket at peace, and I'm not even worried about what we're going to say. Like, I had nothing, and I was like, but when I say their lessons were subtle this week, they were so subtle and so gentle. Like, I didn't have any of my moments from running around the backyard screaming, the light is coming, the light is coming, like I've done in the past. It was so subtle, but everything that he just said to you was everything that I got this week. And the confirmation to Chris was, I did not know it, and Chris did not know it. I was telling Chris that I briefly passed something that said that Enoch and Metatron, that's one. That Metatron is Enoch in angel form. And Chris was like, shut up. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, that's just what this, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's pretty freaking awesome. Like, you're dealing with the big gun, you know what I mean? And so it's kind of cool that the first thing he said when he came in was like, yeah, it's me, it's Metatron. So right there, I was like, oh my God. So there was Chris's confirmation that yes. So do you
Oh.
Do you just want to relax while I talk, or do you want to relax while I talk?
Me?
Are you there? Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, you were breaking up there.
Oh, no, I
Uh,
said, is there something you want to say before I start talking about what all was said? Or do you want to relax while I ramble it?
yeah, no, go ahead. Take it.
Okay, because clearly Chris just said it. And when he watches back, he'll realize what he said.
I said
I think,
nothing. I said nothing.
yes, and that's the thing too. It's um when I say, I always tell people, I'm like, it's not me, it's not me. And part of it is us because we are part of God. So part of it is us. But this same person who dropped some wisdom like a couple of podcasts ago, you're talking to the same girl that watched that was in amazement watching a praying mantis hunt a bug. And I think I watched for a solid 5 minutes before I realized that praying mantis was in fact a nail. Okay. So when I say that I'm not as wise as people think I am, and I would like to say it's not me. It is coming from above. But in the same aspect, we are aspects of God. So it actually is, in a way, a higher part of ourselves because we are multidimensional. So what that message was that just came through Chris was it's what I've known, but have started to understand in a deeper level. All of us are here for an exact purpose. There is nobody here who is above you. There's nobody here that is below you. Each of us are exactly where we are supposed to be on our journey. And I know that sometimes that looks funny. I know that sometimes you can see that homeless guy outside of a thing, and you like to think in your ego mind that somehow you've got him beat. Well, we don't. We are all exactly where we are supposed to be. There's not a one of us that is higher or lower than the other.
Mhm.
So having said that, and that we are on our own journeys, the judgment that they're referring to that has to stop is we kind of like to put ourselves at certain tiers, at certain levels, and it's not about any of that. It's about meeting everybody where they are. And if you can't, if you find yourself in judgment of where somebody is on their journey, whether it be in a state of addiction, whether it be, no matter where they're at, I'm not saying you have to sit and tangle with that, but you can send it love and walk away.
Exactly.
There's no need for judgment. Just send it love and walk away. But we are all exactly where we're supposed to be. So when he was confirming the ascension part, me and Nova had this conversation the other night walking the neighborhood. I consider her one of my human guides. When I get a little carried away or flying too high, she brings me back to reality or shows me something, shows me a side that I'm not looking at. So she helps me to see all angles of things. And we were talking about the ascension of the planet. And we were talking about the collective. It's like if I know that if it was up to God, he would wait for each and every last single person in this world to get there right now and just take us all together would be the dream ideal. We know that can't happen. You got Bob next door who's just still so angry at everything and this, that, and the other. And so those of us that are aware, if somebody's not aware, it's fine. Just send them love. But those of us that are aware are the ones with the responsibility to carry that weight and
Yep.
to make up for that love and to make up for that, because as a collective, singular, we would never get there. But as a collective, the more we can become more aware, more love, less judgment. So the other thing that was coming through, Chris, was about the events that are happening in the world right now. Okay. There's a lot going on. Matter of fact, there are things that are not mainstream media, but that a lot of people do seem to have an awareness of right now. And matter of fact, the people that watch our kind of podcast and some other are the people that know what I'm talking about. And I'm not going to refer to the incidents in detail, but there is a lot of really bad things being brought to light on this planet right now. And is it really happening here? It is. But is it really happening? It's not. It is happening within this matrix. It is happening in this place that we are learning lessons from right now. But if you're outside of that, there is only love and there is only light. But within this realm that we are learning lessons right now, it is a real situation. These bad things are really occurring. And when we talk about the fact that we are all one, and there are those things that separate us, one of those things that separate us, and I would have to say probably the biggest thing, and I know Chris experiences it and I experience it with my mom, is our belief systems. And the funny thing is if we all only realize that inside we all actually believe the same exact thing, that is the truth. Deep inside, we all believe the same thing. But, you know, my mom is religious. And it's funny because things I say scare her and she doesn't understand. But she has been the perfect, and I don't push what I believe on anybody, never, and I don't judge anyone for what they believe. But my mom has been asking me questions. She wants me to explain to her. And so what I do is I show her, what I've shown her is that she believes exactly the exact same thing that I believe. I believe the exact same thing she believes, but I've shown that to her through her like asking questions and wanting to know more. So now she's starting to understand that we don't have a different belief system. We actually have the same belief system, but whatever your belief system, it is okay. As long as that root is love. So that is one thing and the one thing that's always come in my head that, and the reason I just stepped away from religion was I go, well, Jesus didn't like religion. You know, I tell my mom that all the time. Jesus didn't like religion. It's one of those things that divides us. You know, so I explained it to her. I said, religion puts limits on God. Spirituality knows that God is limitless. And I said, that's the only difference between religion and spirituality. Anyway, back to us being one is what, but I brought up the religion.
Well, hold on, she's breaking up. I'm sorry, guys.
Just to show you that that's just one other factor.
Hey, Brooke.
That's here just to, yeah.
You're breaking up.
Still?
Yeah, you're breaking up. Sorry about
crazy.
that, guys.
No, you're fine. How about now?
It is.
Anything?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry about that.
Very good. No, this is a good damn history is like the craziest podcast we ever put out there.
It really is. And it might seem to be dysfunctional, but honestly, I feel like there's a lot of communication that's coming through and needed.
Yeah, and I didn't even want to go I had the agenda I was sticking to. I wasn't even going to go the route of the separation that religion causes. You know what I mean? I wasn't even going that route, and that just kind of came out.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think with the message that came through what I didn't hit yet. But yes, there are things going on in the world that seem really bad. And you know, the role that you play here, Chris or I or nobody else can tell you. You may be somebody who is supposed to be dealing with some of those things that are going on.
Yep.
I know from my personal journey, I've been told that what is going on here is not real, that it is that we are in a battle of the consciousness, that Christ consciousness has returned. From the religious aspect, as a child, man, I would love to see it. I would love to see Jesus coming through the clouds. I would love to see him like that. That was my childhood fantasy. I wish that was the way it was going down. I wish so bad that's the way it was going down, that everybody could see it and that everyone would know. It's not the way it's going down. It is coming. He has returned in the form of consciousness. Right now, we are in a battle of faith over fear. Right now, there are things on this realm that are very scary going on. And if you find yourself getting pulled to those, well, then you're pulling away from the love and from the light. So I've explained this, you know, to my mom in her terms. And I said, isn't it funny that when we saw in the Bible that it was going to be that easy? All you had to do was choose the light. You know, when the angels flew down from heaven and the demons rose up from the ground, you just had to go, that's my team right there. You know, I said, now, Mom, I said, isn't it interesting that we thought it would be that easy? And I said, but look how hard it really is to fight the darkness. Because my mom is still every day, but Brooke, you don't understand. I'm so depressed. But Brooke, you don't understand. And I said, look, Mom, it's hard, isn't it? It's a lot harder than you thought, because you're still not choosing the light. You know, she's still in her mind, but Christ is back in consciousness, and the final battle is now and is within your mind. And it is either get wrapped up in our news, in our media, and what's going on the TV, or you hold the love and you hold the light so that this collective can get it done and move us on. I don't know how much more simple to put it. I don't know.
Yeah. And I would have to agree with that.
I was gonna say, if you heard anything that you feel needs more explanation or correcting, because that's just what came out, like, let me know if you need more explanation. I mean, and if you are watching this podcast and you have questions for us, because this was like so not planned, we were talking about finding peace today.
Mm-hmm.
It was what we were supposed to be talking about, and this is what has come. So it's been a little off the cuff, big time off the cuff. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, like, please forward them to, you know, Chris, and he'll forward them to me, or.
Well, I'll tell you, yeah, so true. Please do, which we do get a lot of feedback throughout the week. But I'll share something with you, Brooke, because as you were talking, you generated a little epiphany that I had. Last year, I channeled a message that said Jesus is coming and that he is going to reveal himself. Now, those of you that don't believe in Jesus, that's totally fine. That's all good. Please, you know, believe whatever you feel and be of love. And that's, you know, what we encourage here. However, I got that message, and what you just said made so much sense to me, in that and we've said it before, you know, sometimes we have this idea in our mind of what that communication is going to be like, or what it should be, but it doesn't always work out like that. And that is why keeping an open mind to the communication that we get is so important. But what you just said, how it's not that easy, and that, you know, it's not like you see that separation of good versus not good, and yeah, you just pick the good. It's not that. It's being of the light. I felt like that was so profound, what you just said, and definitely made me realize that message that I channeled last year, that he is coming, he is going to show himself. But what we have to be mindful of is how he shows himself, and he shows himself through love. They all, Buddha, Allah, doesn't matter who you follow, God, they all show themselves through love. And love is what we need to continuously choose if we want to choose the good.
Yeah. And it's,
so awesome.
You know, yeah, it's easier for some of us than others. It's like my husband, we're driving yesterday, and God forbid the person in front of us, like, I can Sunday drive around all day. I don't even care anybody else is doing around me. But man, my husband, it's like, if didn't use their blinker, they're going too slow, or they're going too fast, he's like, rah, rah, rah. And I'm like, man, send them love. Send them love. And like, he's not having it. He is not saying them love.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so it's easier said than done. You know, it's like, you know, I've come to a place of love. I cannot expect everybody to be in this place of love that I'm at. I mean, I'm actually so in love that I'm in a blissful state that, like, literally this world can burn around me at this point, and I'd be like, look at the beautiful embers flying through the sky. You know, I'm at that point where I'm so outside of what's going on, and, you know, and it's never fair to want somebody else to miss a part of their journey to be where you are, because they're not supposed to miss a part of their journey. But I think just sometimes what I see and other people don't, I just want them there so bad. You know, I want them to see things the way I see them so bad, but it's not fair, because then they've missed a part of their journey. and it's only good when you get here on your own.
Such a huge, huge point that you're making there, in that sometimes we want to help see people so much that we actually steal from them their a lesson that they're supposed to get. And that's why they come in and say so much, or, well, I kind of say, I guess, to look at it from a soul's perspective. And that was taught to me several years ago, where a woman, psychic that I used to work with, who I would, I forget what I was doing. I was trying to help her so much. And I'm like, oh, like, let me get the door for you, or let me do this for you. And whatever it was, I forget. I'm just using those as examples. And she's like, Chris, you got to stop. You're trying to do too much, and you might be keeping me from something that I might be actually supposed to learn from. And that was such a lesson for me, to understand that we are not here to steal people's pain. We are simply here to be the loving representation of what love looks like, that human representation of what love looks like.
Yeah.
But, obviously, depending on where you are in the journey, it may be something else.
Parents, we do
Yes.
it a lot with our children, because we want to save our children. We want our kids to have a comfortable life. We want them to be okay. We don't want them to experience pain. We don't want them to experience frustration. And so as parents, we do so much that may block our kids' true journey. My mom, part of her, when she talks about her anxiety and this and that, she's like, well, I have to make sure I have enough money for you and your brother. If something, if you guys needed a house payment, I said, that is not your job. I said, number one, that is not your job. And number two, the fact that I've been able to pay every bill my entire life since I was 18. And if at 42, if something were to happen where all of a sudden we couldn't make a bill, well, that's God moving me. That's God saying, that would be God going, who knows what the lesson would be, but it could be that he's saying, oh yeah, we don't need this house, these material things anymore. All you need is this, and you and your family are going here to do this. We don't know. We don't know where our journey is taking us. But we can't bail everybody out all the time. As much as we want to be healthy helpers, or want somebody to get to a certain point, especially, like I said, parents do it with their kids all the time. We have to let them fall. We have to let them find their journey. My mom has saved me my whole life, and it still tries to save me. And I'm not even sure how I even got to where I am, that she has been so helpful. I'm surprised I'm this far on my journey. I don't know.
Awesome.
This was wild. This was wild.
It really was. And please forgive us if it came off as being completely discombobulated, but honestly, that right here is a true representation of being open to the communication and allowing it to flow as it will. We weren't trying to do anything other than, hey, get a few points across. And they clearly had a message and a purpose for today that was clearly coming out through Brooke and myself. And yeah, hopefully you guys were able to follow along.
It's a perfect representation of life. You can try to plan for things to go a certain way and to go perfect, but it's like the journey might have another plan. So, it happens.
So true. And I'll tell you what, during the channeling, so I record these podcasts in 2 different formats. And one of the recording formats that I use, it was working in the beginning and just completely stopped during my channel. So hopefully the other one worked, and then I can try to sync it back up with the other. But there are so many things that happened today that were just so interesting. But yeah, you're exactly right. It doesn't frustrate you or us. We just simply, we go with it and we allow it to be, and know that whatever it is meant to be will be, and you're okay with that.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I think I'm good today. And are you?
Yeah. It's like I don't even know what to say at this point.
Completely.
Maybe the next podcast will just be us clarifying this one. I don't know.
It's going to be very interesting. That's for sure.
I know that we're going to go back, and you're going to hear things in the channeling that are going to, but everything that he was saying through you was everything that I had come to this week. That's you look back. I'm like, what? Shut up. The whole time, because I'm like, get out of town. Like, it was such validation for me. Okay, Brooke, that wasn't just your imagination going wild all week. Like, you thinking you know things or not knowing things. Or my theme song, if it was anything, would be Edie Brickell's I'm Not Aware of Too Many Things. I know what I know.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
know what I mean?
Yes.
That's my theme song. But so yeah, I questioned those things all week, and you just confirmed everything that I thought this week. So that's what I said. If anybody watching this wants more clarification or heard something that they want more information on, if you reach out to Chris, he'll reach out to me. But I think I'd actually be able to help you out on that.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that too. And I'm not going to channel anymore, obviously, because they came through and said that. So
yeah, I was gonna say I wouldn't. I mean, yeah, that was it.
Yeah,
that was it.
Agree. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Brooke, and thank you guys all so much. I appreciate you all.
Thank you. I don't even know what else to say on this one.
I know. I agree.
That was wild.
It really was. And thank you for the ride. I appreciate it, Brooke, and all of you. So thank you all so much. Appreciate it. Love you all. And good day.
Good day.
Yep. Take it easy.